honestly, I do believe that maybe we should have had more rules for these people, these plague rats who like ruined people's lives. You know, I have family, I have friends whose family members have passed away through this. I don't know, man. It seems like something an incredibly low IQ person could even like put together. Like, oh, I have the chance of getting sick, but this vaccine could like help me not. Like that sounds like a good deal. Somebody sent me this. I thought it would be really interesting. It's Neil Smoke the Grass Tyson debating some like, I think conservative or centristy dude on some interesting stuff. I want to take a look. Last time we looked at a Neil Smoke the Grass Tyson debate, it was against Bench Apiro on trans peoples, and he bodied him. As much as I hate Neil Smoke the Grass Tyson's garbage tweets, I cannot lie that he do be dropping that heat from time to time, especially when it comes to these debates. So let's just take a look.
From what we knew at the beginning of COVID to what we know today, what do we know about the vaccine today that we didn't know while we were all testing it in America, taking it? What have we learned now?
What do you mean testing it on America? There were tests before it was released.
9 months is not a long time to test.
No, but it was tested.
Yeah, but 9 months. The average is 30. The average is 5 to 10 years. I mean, 9 months is not enough.
Okay, so you have to
test.
No, you have to ask. Hold on. It was tested in trials. Okay. By the way, I'm not claiming to be the expert on all this. I read all the same things you have, but I'm a scientist, so I read it as a scientist. Okay. There were trials. That's what the point of phase 1, 2, 3 trials are all about. They are tested enough to get data on how to then advise the larger population. Yes, it was tested. For you to say it wasn't tested is a gap between your awareness and understanding how things work and what actually happened. It was tested. If you
okay, this is like the scientist way of calling you incredible. This is like the nice science way of calling you really stupid. If you say that, there's a gap between what you believe and what happened. Okay. Oh no, he's gonna kill. Oh, kill him. Oh, kill him. POV, you're a anti-vax parent looking at your child. Yeah, get that guy. It's testing it out on Americans. Yeah, okay, buddy. Now, because here's the thing, like the mRNA vaccines have been around for a really long time. Like this technology has been tested. We know this technology has been tested. We know this technology is safe, and the vaccine is like pretty safe, especially compared to even other types of vaccines. But it's not like, you know, truth or reality is gonna stop a lot of these people. So
if you want it to be tested on millions of people instead of thousands, you can put in for that. You can say, I don't want this unless it's millions. That's okay.
Totally fine with me.
Okay.
I'm okay with that.
That's fine. So based on that, do you say, let's keep testing it while the virus keeps spreading? Okay, right. So this is the contest between the information you have available to you at that moment and what's going on outside the lab. People are dying. Hospitals are becoming overloaded. So do you say, we have good data on the 1,000, it's not yet at 1 million in case you wanted 1 million. Are you going to say, let's still do it let's wait another 6 months so we get another 1 million in here? Will you do that as a public health professional?
No, I would have said, allow the individual to still have a choice that's okay with 1,000 instead of a few million. Leave the person have the choice. Not force him to take it or else you're going to get out of the Marines, and you've been doing this for 14 years. Not force him to take it or else you have to quit your job as a nurse.
There's a public health
force versus choice.
There's a public health contract that you have signed implicitly as a citizen of a country.
Also, when you're in the military, you're forced to get like
on each other
dozens of vaccines
for health, our welfare,
you have
security,
to stay safe
and the like.
And healthy.
And that contract is
it destroys disease destroys military.
Evidence available at the time. If you do not get vaccinated, you will put other people in this organization at risk, and that organization does not want to take that risk. So you do not have this job anymore if you decline it. So with any public health decision, there has to be a consequence to you not participating in that social contract. Is it your job? In some cases it was. But no, we're not going to have the army bust into your home and force a needle into your shoulder. That's not going to happen.
We pretty much did that.
Well, only
What the
put your
hell are
job
you
at risk.
talking?
Yes.
What a child.
67% of Americans took the COVID. That's force. That's not a choice. That's a lot of force. And
A lot of people
coercing
did it,
and
so they
pushing
had
one
to have
another.
been forced.
That's
Do you every single
you
day?
can't go to the school unless
Every
you're,
other day people shit.
I
vaccinated
think that's
against
bullshit.
That's force.
I think that's bullshit. If you
That's
ask,
Bro, do you know how many people buy toilet paper? Bored the shit, forced to wipe. Did you know that? It's a horrible world that we live in. Literally fascism. Anne Frank ain't got shit on what I go through day in and day out basis. You don't get it. All right. She wouldn't understand. Harriet Tubman. How about this bathtub vaccine that the Fauci ouchie's made out of? Have you ever heard about that? You don't get it. You wouldn't get it. I live in George Orwell's 1573, a book about when the government does stuff. It's a hell of a world we live in, everyone.
different country.
Yeah, but
Okay, would you want a country?
no, America is supposed to be the one that offers the most freedom. That's what America is supposed to be.
Yeah, okay, so watch.
I'm not sure if
So
that's
for
true.
example, if you use that argument, somebody may say, well, freedom of choice, I want to choose what I want to do with the body. You're right.
What
You
body?
get to,
What body?
if you want to get an abortion, it's your choice.
Your own body. Your own body.
If
Sorry.
you want to get an abortion, get an abortion. If I want to
Okay.
get the vaccine, I get to choose. So you can't force. If I can't force you to get an abortion, you shouldn't be able to force me to
because
get
it's not about you.
He's still not forced.
It's about people you interact with, and that's the social contract of public
we
health.
don't even know if the vaccine worked or not at the time.
Yes, that's what the
What the hell are you
trials
talking about?
dude? That's why these trials. What, are you missing data out there?
But let me ask you a question. Are we saying only one
he's
type
stupid.
of scientists are right?
No, we're
What are you-
saying
what's
that
happening?
The system in place.
The 16,000 that signed
I've
up.
never- he's
the
actually talking to an
system in place
NPC.
to test vaccines.
Somebody replaced his debate
entire
partner with like a
that's in
Skyrim
place.
NPC.
That with review boards and all of this.
Yeah, and the average-
that's in place. Now you can say what you can say
Carlito
is,
wants his vaccine
I have a
back.
better idea than all these review boards and all these agencies and the CDC. I have a better idea. Here's what you should do, and that would have made everything better. Okay, you can put forth that idea, but what I'm saying is, in a case where you can contaminate someone else, it's not about you. It's about the collective
You're assuming
health.
You're assuming because somebody can take the vaccine, won't get COVID. Which, by the way, I don't need to play the clips for you to see.
Nobody-
It, everybody said, "Hey,
nobody said that.
If you get it, you're not going to get. If you take the vaccine, you're not going to get a Rachel Maddow, Joe Biden. I can give you Fauci. I can give you and you've seen these clips before. It's not like you've never seen it before.
Yeah, what happened
They
was-
were wrong.
Hold on. The strain evolved, okay, so that the vaccine that prevented you from catching COVID was tuned to the variant of COVID at the time the vaccine was designed, okay? Over time, there were variants that arose. The vaccine provided partial protection against the new variants, enough to keep you from dying statistically, and to basically keep you out of the hospital, allowing other people with more severe problems to get the hospital attention they required. And so then they would develop a subsequent, the booster and a subsequent mixture.
all these plague
of the
rats didn't
vaccine.
want to get
This is
their
what happens
vaccine,
every
and
year
then
with flu
the shit
shot.
mutated
You look at
even
how
more.
the flu has evolved from one season to the next, and we had. What's fortunate is Australia tends to get. the variant
when I
of
used
flu
my
before
own
we
ass
do,
as a pressure
because they
cooker
get
for
their
this
winter
vaccine, it
in
decided
our
to
summer,
change, and the
then-
vaccine
so
doesn't
we
work
study
for this
that, have a
disease, and the
forward
vaccine doesn't
projection
work
for it.
anymore. Curious.
So these annual flu shots are precisely out of the same idea of how this occurs.
How long have those been tested though? For years.
This guy's whole
COVID
body is a
vaccine hasn't
goddamn
been
disease
tested for it. It was
crockpot,
a-
and he's like,
it
I
was
can't
something
believe
we
this
just
shit
came
doesn't
up
work
with. Let me-
anymore.
I don't know what point you're making, other than it was tested. You might
9 months is not enough.
You might prefer. No, it's not a matter of time. It's a matter of how many. Yes, time matters, but the number of people is paramount. That's the most important thing. Okay, you don't test it on 10 people. You test it on as many people as you can. And
Sure.
I think it was thousands, but
Is it fair
don't
to
quote
say
me.
that some of the side effects we may not know for 5, 10, 15, 20 years? You can't, like, they can't say we know 100% the side effects 10 years from now. How you
You'll
gonna know
never
that?
know
okay,
the 100%
so no, of
side
course,
effects
we
from
can't
any
know
So then all I'm saying
from any
is-
vaccine you
can't
ever
know
take.
that.
That's an
But watch.
unrealistic standard.
So I have a whole chapter called Risk and Reward in the book, which tries to
Would you like to buy
get
my book?
sensitize people to when they make a decision, what kind of risk are they absorbing relative to what they're rejecting? Okay? And we're not very good at that, at probability and statistics or analyzing it. That's why TV commercials trying to sell you a product don't just show you data, they show a person speaking of the effectiveness of the product. A single person. I lost 50 pounds. The testimony of an individual should be irrelevant to you.
Give me what he got.
Relative to the entire set of people who have done it. And you want to look at those statistics, but we're not good at that. And advertisers know that. So they show the testimony of an individual, which is hugely potent in a civilization where we don't think statistically, we think about eyewitness testimony on something. And somehow that is raised to a very high level of influence on our decisions. What I'm saying is, you're not, your decision point is not, I'm not going to take the virus because 5 years, 10 years, I don't know what effect it's going to have.
Some may, though. Some may not be comfortable.
Let me finish the sentence. Okay? So you can say, I don't want to take the virus because 5 or 10 years from now, there could be a side effect that we don't see.
Which is a possibility.
Hold on. I'm trying to make a statistical point here, okay? If you say, I don't want to take the virus because it hasn't been tested for 5 years and there could be some long-term side effect that worries me, okay? In that same moment, there's the risk factor of you getting COVID.
Sure.
Okay? Unvaccinated. At one point, 87% of everyone dying in the hospital of COVID was unvaccinated. Okay. So your risk choice is, I'm not going to take it because maybe somewhere down the line something will happen and we don't know what that is, or I will risk getting COVID. And if I get COVID, depending on your age and other things, there's a 3% chance of me dying in the hospital. That's your choice. Yes. Yes, but what I see people doing is they focus on one thing,
or the long-term side effects of COVID
of their decision
that we already know,
rather than the other chance. And what happens if you get COVID? Now you get long COVID. Now you can have a taste buds for 2 years or whatever it is for long COVID.
Yeah.
You're on a ventilator in the hospital, possibly dying. Like what? Where is the? So I looked every day once a week. I looked at the statistics. How many people are getting COVID? What's the rate? What's the rate of hospitalization? What's the rate of deaths? Where is it by state?
I had to look at it. My board forced me to look. We're in the business that we have to look at.
They should,
Yeah,
good,
because it's data.
Yeah, I agree.
On risk factors.
The risk of people's lives.
Okay,
for sure.
So nothing is ever zero risk. Yeah, there's a risk that you'll grow a third arm in 10 years because the virus.
Yo, base.
Should the individual not have the right to say, I don't want to take it because
you don't have the right to contaminate someone else. So if you don't want to get shot,
who says that though? But who says that?
It's a social contract in a modern civilization.
Also, let me be honest with you. I think, like, I may have been when I was working in McDonald's during the height of COVID, I may actually have been in the camp of we need stronger rules against these people who not only the people who don't take vaccines, to the people who decide to make it their personality trait that they decide not to take any vaccines. Because I'm not sure, but when I was working, I had people who worked in other stores in like the franchise in like the franchise owners like pocket, right? Like other stores owned by the same franchise, right? And they talked about how they experienced people who had to be banned from coming to the McDonald's because there were people who would there would be, especially dudes who'd come through the line, these conservative dudes in their like shitty ass like Toyota trucks and their garbage ass haircut, like, hey, you guys all taking vaccines or shit? We'd be like wearing masks and have gloves on just to keep ourselves safe from these filthy, disgusting creatures who we would be forced to serve just so we could like have money to be able to pay rent. They'd like come through and cough and sneeze on money, like physical money that they'd use. They'd make sure that they always used physical money because fuck you. And then they'd like cough and sneeze on it. They'd like purposefully and forcefully put their own like respiratory and like mouth fluids on it and then hand it to you like, oops, sorry, and then like hand it to you, right? Like we made the rules that made us like wear masks, or like we were the ones who made the vaccine or something like that, right? I honestly, I do believe that maybe we should have had more rules for these people. These plague rats who like ruined people's lives. You know, I have family, I have friends whose family members have passed away through this. I don't know, man. It seems like something an incredibly low IQ person could even like put together. Like, oh, I have the chance of getting sick, but this vaccine could like help me not. Like that sounds like a good deal. Like we've all been taking vaccines for our entire lives, but just now we decided to turn this into a sort of like dick measuring contest, like culture war type shit. I don't know, man. It's just stupid. I hate it.
Public health. I don't have the right to contaminate someone else. What do you mean? Like, so what do I do? Stay home all day?
Yeah,
yes,
or
fuck you.
Go to the beach. Yeah, you stay away from other old people who
but
you stay away from people who are immune compromised.
So Neil, so for me, I'm asking you because I want to know how you process this as a guy that's well-read, smart.
I process the data, and the data.
We didn't have enough data, though.
No,
we didn't have enough data
at any given moment.
Yeah.
There's data for you to make a decision at any given moment.
Sure.
The data is constantly getting better and better.
Yeah.
All right. So, all right. At any given moment, you say to yourself, okay, what happens to me if I get COVID? There's a chance I'll get long COVID. I'm certainly out for at least a week. And there's a chance I'll be hospitalized. And there's a chance I'll die.
Mm-hmm.
I take the vaccine. It mitigates this, basically entirely removing the chance that I'm going to die, essentially, at my age group. And I will accept the risk that in 5 years I'll grow a third arm. That's the kind of decision making that I make. Now, that's just for me, but
this
on
is
top
just
of
like,
that, if my workplace
I want everybody
says,
to understand what Neil is describing now is just
vaccinated
making
and you might
decisions
lose your
like an
job,
adult.
I would say, why? Oh, because you could contaminate someone else, introducing a problem in their own health profile. That's the public contract. That's why workers wash their hands in the restaurant bathrooms by law. Yes, they're required to do so.
You know what? Maybe, you know what I should bring to these people, these types of people? When I was working at McDonald's, should I not be forced by law to not like scratch my own asshole and then without gloves make your Big Mac with my bare hands? Should the law force me not to do that, or should I be able to drop my fat, juicy bare ass on the on the heating table to warm it up on cold days, rip a huge fart, and then roll your Big Mac across it, just for fun? Should the law really tell me I shouldn't be able to do that? Really? Should the man really come down and force me not to? Obviously, all of them would be like, no, you should be forced to do that. But that's communism. True, the government telling me what to do with my hands and my balls while I'm working fast food is actually communism, if I'm going to be completely honest with you. You should bring a gun to McDonald's. Yeah, so true. So true. I mean, I live in Kentucky, so like you could actually walk into McDonald's with a gun, and many people did. Like many people actually unironically did. True. Should the government force me not to? Right? Can I come into work in my restaurant sick? You know? Should the government stop me from throwing up in the cookware when I'm a line cook? Should they really stop me from doing that? You know, it's my body, my choice.
Because you don't want poop germs in your dinner that they're preparing. Because our evidence showed that that's one of the greatest places you can spread disease is in a restaurant with a central kitchen.
Anybody up cleaning they poop germ?
This is the... Now, you want a world where you can do whatever you want and have it influence other people.
I'm not saying that.
You literally are.
All I'm saying is the following.
He's like, I want my cake and to eat it too.
You know, have you seen the documentary Died Suddenly? Have you looked at it?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
No.
Oh,
my gosh.
It's on I don't know where it's at. You can
Not the
find it
meme-umentary.
Yeah. It's got 30 million views. I think it's worth watching. Actually would be curious to know what you say about it once you watch it.
Mm-hmm.
The statistic then showed, like, pre-COVID, 29 people, athletes in Europe died suddenly from heart failure, pre-COVID, pre-taking the mRNA vaccine. Okay. Post-taking the mRNA vaccine last year, 1,500 people suddenly had heart failures in Europe and 2/3 died. That's documented.
Wait, pause. Wait, he went from athletes to...
Not like it's...
He went from athletes to just people? Yeah, is it athletes or just normal people?
29 people, athletes in Europe died suddenly.
29 people, athletes? Which one is it? Which one is it? I want to know. Is it just like 29 people in Europe or 29 athletes? And what's considered an athlete? If I play like lacrosse in my high school, is that an athlete? And also, like, what COVID vaccine symptom makes you die suddenly, or makes you get a heart disease suddenly? What does that? The only heart disease that I remember any of these people talking about was myocarditis, which is an inflammation of the lining around the heart, which is not something that will kill you suddenly or die suddenly. I don't know. Like, after I started like working out, I started watching a lot of like workout stuff and and obviously there's a lot of crossover between like workout content and bodybuilding content. And so I've seen a lot of like bodybuilders and people who ingest a lot of bodybuilding content talking about the issue of like bodybuilders like dying suddenly, right? Because I'm not sure if you've known this, but like a lot of bodybuilders just kind of drop dead a lot of the time. They really just drop dead. And it's for like a lot of reasons. One big reason is because a lot of them have undiagnosed heart conditions that spring up. Not Pog? It is not Pog. Yeah, a lot of them have undiagnosed heart conditions that just keep going and going. And obviously the more stress you put on your heart when it comes to like the amount of meat that you're carrying around and amount of muscle that you're carrying around, since it can be more taxing a lot of the times than like fat can be outside of like the whole cholesterol thing. Bodybuilding is unhealthy. I mean, like bodybuilding over like a specific amount of time can definitely be unhealthy. You shouldn't be bodybuilding like past like 34. You shouldn't be honestly. You shouldn't be like bodybuilding that much like past 50. I'm gonna be honest with you. But yeah, carrying around that much mass on you for your heart to like have to take care of is not great. Same with like athletes. It can be similar with athletes. I don't know what condition you know of known to be linked to the vaccine that makes you drop dead suddenly. I guess anybody can let me know. It's the fluoride.
From heart failure, pre-COVID, pre-taking the mRNA vaccine. Okay. Post-taking the mRNA vaccine last year.
Also, you've probably taken an mRNA vaccine.
1,500 people suddenly had heart failures in Europe and 2/3 died. That's documented. That's not like it's a hypothetical, right? Okay. You read statistics like that, then one has the right to say.
Well, just to be
sure.
careful, you have to be careful how you speak information. So you are describing two events. Okay, you're describing events that had a temporal relationship. Okay, before you've established a causal relationship. Just be clear that's
100%. I'm not doing that. All I'm doing is the following. Here's all I'm doing. If somebody all of a sudden starts having a breakout, okay?
A breakout of what?
Meaning their skin starts breaking out. You're 26 years old. You never had a breakout. All of a sudden you start breaking out. And the doctor says, listen, man, what have you been doing differently? Well, listen, for the first time in my life, 6 weeks ago, I started doing DECA, steroids. Well, okay, that's why it implicates it, right? Okay. Hey, if somebody all of a sudden, is having a hard time sleeping at night, I'm having a very hard time. So let's watch your diet. Well, then they notice at 10:30 at night, you're having iced tea and, lemonade, and you add it with this. Well, listen, if we've been doing it for 6 weeks, that's why you're having a hard time. Just drop that. Don't drink that after 2 o'clock. I'm just making, saying, but all I'm saying is, what I want to know is I want to put everything on the table versus saying, no, there's one thing we can't put on the table, and that's the cause of the vaccine. There is no way there could be any negative impact because of the vaccine. That's ludicrous.
No one has ever said that ever about any vaccine.
If you say that, then the question then becomes back for you to say, when COVID first got started, I invited so many doctors to come in to talk about COVID. And then I invited people from both sides. I want both sides. I invited people from both sides. You know which side would never come? The side that was for vaccine would never, ever come because they thought they were above the average person, that they know and the rest of us are dumb. So because...
like those doctors were on TV and wait, is this guy saying leading medical professionals wouldn't come onto my YouTube show to talk about whether or not the vaccine will turn you into an alligator? Can you imagine that? They did that because they thought they were above all of us. Come on, bro. I've been seeing this recently when it comes to like YouTube stars thinking that they're like on the same level. These like E-list celebrities thinking that they're on the same level as like a syndicated TV show when it comes to getting them on their platforms. Like, it's nice, and I think it's great that like more established people go on like independent media. I think it's great. But for you to act like so entitled to the point where your YouTube show is the like end all be all for whether or not somebody is like in tune with the people or not, bro. I've never heard of your shit before, dude. I have no clue who you are. I have no clue who you are. Like, it's cool that your YouTube channel has 3 million subscribers. That's great and everything. But you're just a YouTube channel at the end of the day. Never, I don't know. I just like, I'm not this type of person typically, but sometimes I'm just like kind of know your place. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? His name on YouTube is Valuetainment. He's Valuetainment. He's like, I can't believe that these people wouldn't come on my YouTube show, bro. Who could have seen this coming? Yeah, just like, I'm sorry that leading medical professionals busy doing the type of work that they could only imagine that happens once every 100 years won't want to come onto your YouTube show to debate whether or not the vaccine will grow you 3 arms and turn you into a living reptile. I'm sorry, bro. Fauci refused to go on Valuetainment. Conspiracy confirmed. All right. Valuetainment. Yeah. So true. I hate this like cringy ass pompous attitude that a lot of like YouTubers have gotten ever since they've started to make money hand over fist when it comes to their YouTube channel. Now they think they're at the top of the world.
Because of that, they're not willing to come and sit down with scientists. I think that's arrogant. So to me, when I ask you scientific debate, I'm not telling you I'm a scientist. Hey, let me debate with you because I'm smarter than you. I'm not a scientist. I'm a business guy.
Let's do a hypothetical scenario. Hypothetics are, let's assume an actual cause and effect has been established in this case.
Sure.
Which it's not have to see the film to know. I don't know that there's a cause and effect.
I'll send it to you.
Other than a coincidence in time.
Is it downloaded?
Relative to other things that people might have been doing. By the way, alcohol consumption went up during COVID significantly. Okay, and alcohol is implicated in heart disease. So
depression, anxiety, people staying at home,
all
kids,
opioid
addicts, addiction. Okay. So the staying at home wasn't the best decision either.
What I'm saying is, if after the vaccine
it was the best decision for the decisions that we had
over a time where alcohol consumption went up, as did depression.
That could be an option.
That's right.
That's a very good.
That's all I'm saying here. But let's give it to you that the vaccine caused this. Let's just say that. Okay?
Yeah.
And add it all up, and you got, what was it, 1,500 post-vaccine?
29 to 1,500.
29 deaths.
29 sports deaths, 1,500.
Thousands of deaths, let's say. Okay? Let's say 10,000 even. Let's just do that. Okay.
How many people died of COVID? 6 million?
You can estimate how many deaths the vaccine saved during COVID. Okay, because you can look at the death numbers drop off as people got vaccinated. It's in the tens of millions. Again, you can make a decision. Do I not want to die from COVID at this rate that occurred in this world? Or do I not want to die from this complication from the vaccine itself, the heart failure? So make your decision. And so you'll say, I might be in that 1,500, so I'm not going to take. Then you get COVID and die from COVID, right? So you just make the decision.
But you know what I would say to that?
I love dying from
Here's
COVID.
what I would say to that. I would say, perfect. Let me take the risk. And thank you for giving it to me that way versus telling me it's one or the other, which is how it was
presented. As long as you are informed fully about what the risks are. But like I said, as a species, we're not very good at thinking statistically about it. We're just not.
And he still hasn't soaked up the point. So here's this thing with a lot of these people. These people, they view freedom like this, where it's I get to do whatever I want to anybody else, basically, and I get to act however I want in public, and I can face no repercussions. I can have nobody do anything or say anything to me or like come at me or anything along these lines for the decision I made. Basically, I want to do whatever I want without consequences. They're looking for a world that only children actually. Well, they're looking for a world that actually children believe exist, where they can do whatever they want without any consequences whatsoever. Like they can do whatever they can put in any input to society, and then the problem doesn't come about with their input into society. The problem comes about with the output that other people do in response to their input. It's just it's childish. There's no other way for me to honestly describe it in like an honest fashion besides saying that it's literally something only children really dream of existing, which is I want to do whatever I want, and anybody, you know, coming at me for it or saying that it's a problem or making me suffer any repercussions for this decision at any time is bad and wrong and like infringing on my rights or something like that. You have the right to do whatever you want, honestly, but you can be punished for doing some things either legally or socially, right? And honestly, a lot of the punishments were social and not legal. You could just be fired from your job, which, I mean, I thought a lot of these people like love the whole idea of whatever happened to, like out of nowhere, states' rights and workers' rights, states' rights and business rights for a lot of these like people completely flew out the window. Like now businesses, it should be completely illegal for businesses to fire you based on how likely it is for you to kill your clientele. Apparently that's something that that business owners shouldn't be allowed to do. Like it's wrong for me to ban plague rats from killing off my clientele in my business. I don't know. I just feel like that's kind of ridiculous. He just can't understand the idea of being able of doing something while also suffering the consequences of doing such. It's just children. It's a child's idea of the world. It's a baby brain.
And when we want to, we believe we're going to be the exception. And look at the people betting on lotteries. You know, they think they're going to win.
But for me, like, you know, the moment they started saying you have to put on cigarettes, the risk of heart failure, cancer, this, that, and if you still want to smoke cigarettes, guess what? You got a risk if you smoke cigarettes. You may get lung cancer, right? Hey,
yes, and you can't smoke cigarettes everywhere and anywhere you want. You can't walk into a preschool while smoking a cigarette, bro. You can't do that. You can't hotbox smoke cigarette in like if you're like a teacher in like the school bus on the way to a school trip. You can't do that. You can't just smoke anywhere and everywhere you want. Have you never seen a sign that said no smoking? No smoking signs are everywhere. Smoking rooms are everywhere. Yes, you can still smoke, just not everywhere and not to anyone you want. Yes. It's exactly like this.
Denied your admission to the bar. There's a cost to that because it's a public health issue. And so, right. You are free to smoke the cigarette, but not in my establishment, by law.
Not in your establishment.
By law.
Correct. No problem.
Right.
Totally fine.
But that's an example.
That's not fine with him.
Cigarettes outside,
Neil,
you can't.
He's explained it so many times how he's not okay with that.
Let me ask you this. So what state would you say was the most responsible during COVID?
State? I don't know. I never looked.
So if you're a stats guy. I have no idea. Actually. Okay, I'm a stats guy as well. I like stats, but I'm more financial. I'm not like, you know, but I understand what you're saying with
stats and finance.
I'm a baseball guy, so I like stats.
Yes, when I think about humans dying, I think about how much money we actually made off of it.
If we look at the stats.
That's my stats that I look at.
The media made Florida seem the most irresponsible state. That's what the media made it look. Okay,
Florida was the hotspot of COVID in the entire world.
A bad reputation on a lot of stuff.
Okay, sure. So, and by the way, I've lived in California 24 years, 5 years in Texas, 2 years in Florida. Okay, just so you know my background.
That's right. Okay.
10 years in Iran, 2 years in Germany. That's kind of my background. A couple years in the military.
Basic bitch.
But if we say, hey, if we look at the data, the most irresponsible state was Florida. You would have heard many times news telling you that. When I go to California and I would say, I'm in Florida. I'm like, oh my God, you're in Florida. Oh my, it's horrible. But you know what I realized? Here's what I realized. If the state of Florida is so bad, why did the NBA during Black Lives Matter host the playoffs in Florida?
In the bubble.
If Florida
I thought they created a bubble for themselves.
But why did they come here? They could have done it in Texas. Texas got plenty of places they could do it in. Why did they do it here?
Texas was also pretty bad.
They felt safest.
Wait, I'm not going to use the NBA.
That's not true. It's hundreds of thousands of people dying, and the worst COVID infection and death rate on the entire planet. But did you see that basketball game happened? So it must not be that bad. If they can still hundreds of thousands of people dying, but they're still playing basketball. So it really can. What is happening? What is happening? Do we share a world with people like this? This is genuinely such craziness to me. Brain dead, baby brain. I'm telling you.
He is a measure of what is.
They also did the Super Bowl here.
A lot of the Super Bowl was here. I'll give you another one. Pro-vaccine AOC for vacation. She came to Miami. People from New York and California were partying for Miami. During COVID, when everybody was looking for a home during Christmas where to go to, you couldn't go to Colorado. You couldn't go to Lake Tahoe because it sucked. You had all these other choices. Everybody came to Florida.
I'm not going to judge the
statistically,
safety of a. I can't use that as a statistics of safety. I can't. I don't care who chooses where to vacation. I care what your death rates are.
Hey, bro, did you know that people were still immigrating into Nazi Germany? Can it really be that bad?
That would be an objective measure from state to state. What state are you most likely to die
people
in
moved to
from
Nazi
COVID?
Germany.
That's a statistic
During the
I would pay
Holocaust. Could
attention
it really
to.
be that bad?
What state has the least hospital beds to accommodate
I'm
those
very smart.
who are sick from COVID, even if they're not going to die from COVID? I would want to know that. I'm not going to base a decision on whether the NBA chose to put their bubble in the state.
Well, statistically, New York and California does not look good. Statistically, New York and California, and they're supposed to be the most responsible ones. Those two states didn't look good. All I'm saying is, from my end,
wow, the most populous states in the entire country
and I listen to you
had a lot of infections. That's
"Oh my gosh,
crazy.
I had no clue about that. That was brilliant. That's interesting. Let me go research. Let me go look at this.
You know, the most
I'm a
densely
guy that
populated
likes
places in the
debate
entire planet
of
had bad
experts in two different sides
infection rates
and let
for,
them make the
for
argument.
infectious
And I'm
diseases.
mature
That's
enough to know
crazy.
the better salesman doesn't necessarily have the better
That's
argument.
good. But let me just say that there's nothing I've said in the last half hour that is a debating point. All I'm telling you, well, you can debate whether you should still be able to work and put other workers at risk for not having vaccinated. You can debate that.
Yeah.
In the context of public health, that's a risk factor that we don't want to introduce to other people because of your decisions. That's a public health issue. It's been going on basically for 100 and something years since who's the woman who
Name a woman for $1.
Medical case
For $1, name a woman
who spread. What's it?
$1, please. Name a woman.
What is that case?
$1.
Recently?
No,
Name
100
her,
years ago.
please.
It created a whole wave of sanitation rules
Come
and
on,
things
you
for
can do
public
it.
health sake.
I'm not familiar.
But anyway, the point is,
Oh my gosh.
I want to make sure you know you can focus on the 1,500 people who died after the vaccine.
Mary Mallon. He's about the history of typhoid fever.
Yeah, Typhoid Mary. Yes, thank you.
Typhoid Mary. Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know her last name.
Yeah.
I thought Typhoid was her first name.
Typhoid
Mary
Mary.
was her last name. Okay. So it's simply a matter of, if you're saying you don't want to be in the 2,000, whatever the number is, who died after the vaccine from heart failure at the peak of your physical career, not totally necessarily factoring in all the other abuses that went on over that time that may have contributed to it.
This is so bad.
Instead, you want to take the risk of COVID and not be one of the 20 million people who would have died and didn't, right? So I just want you to have the statistics in front of you. And it seems to me most people would, in most cases, choose the path that reduces their chance of death.
But by the way, I don't disagree.
That's why I'm
didn't
not
he
debating.
say that
I'm
it
not
was
saying-
forced earlier
But
because
this
so
part
many
of
people
what
took the
you're
vaccine?
saying, I'm 100% with you. But this is
It's not a matter of being with me. It's just, are you with the decision making of what is rational statistical analysis?
But this position is not an arrogant position. This position is kind of like when you're sitting there and you tell the doctor, so doc, what do I do? Do I get the surgery? Like, we have one of my good friends right now is getting a brain surgery in the next couple of weeks.
It's crazy.
She's afraid. Now, she believes in God, so faith is kind of calming her down, but she's afraid, okay? The doctor says,
I don't want people digging around in my brain.
there's a 10% chance you're not going to make it.
There's dating apps for
Do
that.
you want to, for the rest of your life, live having to take that medication with the side effects, or do you want to do the surgery? The individual is making a decision to get the surgery. She knows the chances is what? 10%. You know what I say to that? Hey, at least I know the risk. Versus, no, if you take this, you won't get anything. Propaganda, selling me this. Like,
Propaganda.
What's the three things that you say? There's three different
No,
types of
people
truth.
will
There's
like try to
objective truth,
convince
personal
me.
truth,
No.
and political. Exactly. That's the one I have a
truth.
problem with. And I
As
agree with
should
you.
we all.
And that's the part I have a problem with. I'm personal truth, let's debate, have fun with it. Great. Let the audience.
Yeah. Personal truth.
Yeah.
You want to debate personal
Yeah,
truth.
exactly. That's cool.
Okay? Kirk or Picard, just
Yes.
whatever.
Yes.
But is that a Star Trek reference?
Dude, who let him in? I'm
sorry.
Who let him in?
They've been asking that question for years.
We don't like this. We don't like your
Political
kind around these
truth,
let
I
him in
think,
the
is what brought a lot of division in households
course it
and
would.
companies, different places.
Of course it
I think
would.
that's what happened the last 2.5 years,
Yeah.
specifically with that. And you know this, like, you took it, you didn't take it, you're part of a political party. Like, you may be positioning me right
Statistically,
now.
that was a correct statement.
Yeah, statistically it was. But what was interesting is that people with no college degrees took the vaccine.
This is all just
with bachelor's degrees. But then MBA was
like
least.
4 years,
Just kind of funny.
like 2 years we've been going through NPC talking points.
Yeah, interesting
over and over
sociological
again.
statistics.
So if you
Just
like this
rattling
clip
them
and you
off.
want to watch another one, click right here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click right here.
No, I'm good. Thank you. I'm good. I appreciate it. That's crazy. I think Neil did a good job, but that's crazy. I'm sorry. Just that level of I don't know, just like that level of believing everything you hear. A lot of these people, they just make their lives believe everything that like established people tell you not to believe, or just believe the exact opposite, and then you feel like you're on the right path or something. It's always been like a child's idea of the world to me. This is kind of like thumbing your nose at things people tell you to, simply because you like to thumb your nose at it, not because it's actually like a good idea. You've seen, like, I've seen Sneeko do this. You've seen like Andrew Tate do this. A lot of people like to do this, and they feel like it's like they feel like it's revolutionary or like anti-establishment like ideology or something, when it's actually just stupid. It's actually just stupid. No like long-term like thinking about like whether or not it's like true or not. It's kind of like it's just like they have the misinformation panel, but who's really proved, like who's saying it's misinformation though? Like we could always like fact check things people say and do, and like the media and whatever, like other like talking point that you want to do. You can do that. You can still do that. And a lot of these people, or these organizations do absolutely like provide revisions and things when they've been proven to be incorrect. Sometimes they don't. I'm not saying that like the media is like some sort of like great amazing thing. They're absolutely not. But we can check these things. These people pretend that we can't like check them at all. That it's impossible to, or something. You could disagree with it. If you have information that disagrees with something, you can say that, right? But the thing is, a lot of these people think that they have information, but they just don't. A lot of these people genuinely just believe that they're smarter, better, make better decisions or something, or have some secret knowledge that other people aren't privy to that draws them to their ideology. And it's just like low IQ drivel that they just cling on to, instead of actual fact-based reasoning for why they believe what they believe. It's just not smart. It's just not smart. A lot of these people are the same. A lot of these people are the same exact people who believe that the elections are stolen too. So honestly, it seems like they'll believe near anything you tell them, as long as it agrees with their political ideology. If I'm going to be completely honest with you, that's the real thing. They'll believe anything you tell them as long as it agrees with their political ideology up front, which is sad but true. Cringe. I'll chalk this up as another Neil W. Personally, I think this is a Neil W. What do you guys think? Tell me your thoughts and opinions. Tell me your thoughts, you thoughts. Would love to know your thoughts on this. I still hate him. True. That's pretty true. That's pretty true. True. This a big pharma told me that the sky is blue. Obviously, we know the sky, it must be green if they say that. Did you know that Cum Chips 53 had an amazing documentary on why the sky is actually green? I'll send it to you sometime. You should take a. It's very interesting. You should listen to it sometime. It's pretty cool. Anyways, that's interesting. Oh yeah. Also, I was looking at like some of the stuff that people have said for some of the reasons for why some of these athletes have died suddenly. A lot of them experience blunt force trauma directly to the heart, drug complications, and heart diseases that were undiagnosed. Wow. So you're telling me people who have undiagnosed heart conditions take a direct hit to their body directly to the heart, and people who are taking drugs that affect their heart have heart problems? Did you know this? Did you know this to be true? Wow, dude. That goes nutty. Oh, sorry. I didn't see you there. If you're enjoying the content, hit the subscribe button. If you don't, it'll make Boo very sad. I know a bunch of you who are watching are not subscribed. Join the frenzy. You won't regret it. Thank you, Boo.